at DraftKings, we definitely want to be in that, whatever, 1 to 10% who are always just thoughtful, thinking about what is the new tech, the new trend, how does that influence or impact what we're doing, and adjust our roadmap. That agility, I think, is exciting because you never really know what's next.
Welcome back to the DraftKings Life Podcast. I'm Rebecca Thornburg, a recruitment marketing specialist.
And I'm Max DeMortier, talent acquisition specialist. And today we have a very special episode. We'll actually be talking all about the sports entertainment industry. And with us is our very special guest, president of DraftKings North America, Matt Kalish. So he oversees our daily fantasies, our sportsbook, our iGaming, our marketplace, and also runs multiple departments.
His passion for sports, analytics, and game design has been instrumental in growing DraftKings from a small Boston startup into an iconic gaming company. He received his MBA from Boston College and his undergrad in computer science and economics from Columbia University, where he was also on the track and cross-country teams. On his personal resume, he's a father of 3, a podcast host, and an avid Celtics fan. Matt Kalish, welcome to the DraftKings Life Podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here with you both today.
Awesome. Yep. So to kick things off, we're going to do a rapid-fire round of questioning just for people to get to know you a little bit more.
All right. Sounds like a good warm-up.
Right? Let's jump into it. So where are you from?
I'm from Lowell, Mass., not too far from our headquarters here. And, most of my life, actually, I've spent around the Boston area.
What was your first job?
My first job was at Fidelity Investments. I was doing some operations work. They have a big benefits business, and I had a technology background, so it was really like integrating new companies onto their benefits platform.
Awesome. Or even in high school, too. I always like to ask, when was the first job where you started making money? Like, were you selling trinkets at school or doing anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I always liked, finding ways to earn money. I was, like, mowing lawns.
Nice.
I actually lived next door to a 7-Eleven. I would mow their lawn for $10 just every week. I'd go over, built a relationship with the owners, and then I ended up working there as a cashier through high school as well.
What's your favorite food?
I am not super picky on food, but if I could pick anything, pasta, like any kind of delicious pasta. Carbs.
Just any kinds?
Yeah, garlic bread, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What about your favorite book?
Not like a mega book reader anymore. I do a lot of YouTube stuff, audio. I read my daughter's books, especially I have a 2-month-old now, so Brown Bear or something like that, where she has no idea what I'm even saying.
There you go.
But yeah, much more like visual audio versus reading books.
Totally. If you could go to a game with anyone from the past or present, who would it be and why?
Geez, I always find I have like really good conversations with former players. Like at the Celtics, I'd love to go with Larry Bird, for example, would be epic. Just all the history he's had around the Garden area and the impact he's had on our culture in the city.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Basically to quit corporate job and start DraftKings with all of my time and energy, which is something Jason, Paul, and I all heard when we were in the middle there for about 6 to 12 months where we were doing nights and weekends. Loved what we were doing, but a little bit afraid on the, oh my God, like what if we give up all that, like security and if things don't work out and stuff. So just ripping the Band-Aid off and going after something we were passionate about and not looking in the rear view.
Love that.
Safe to say it worked out, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Cool. What's something people can't Google about you, like a fun fact maybe that's not well known?
I think one fact, I'm very oriented around my family, my daughters. I spend a ton of time at home. I have 3 girls that, it's a huge focus for me, and I have a lot of empathy as well for everybody in the company, who has families, newborns. It's something that I understand very well. I'm like driving my girls to school in the morning, helping making lunches and stuff, and all the extracurriculars and the hustling around is probably something that I balance out equally with what I do at DraftKings in terms of my time and energy and like what I really care about. And I feel like if things aren't good, the foundation isn't good at home, it can be hard to do well in anything really. So I think just the amount that that matters to me, the amount of investment that I really have in my family life.
Love that. That's awesome.
So I wanted to ask also, I get this question a lot, never really know, how to answer it, but how and who came up with the name DraftKings?
So I was the first one who came up with that, but Jason, Paul, and I were kicking around a lot of really similar ideas. The whole idea was drafting is the best part of fantasy. And so the key, I guess, verb, you're drafting every day. You want to be kind of in there making your predictions, figuring out who's going to have a good game. And so that we thought was a really operative word, and then lots of different, ideas we were kicking around. But there's something about the, if you think about King of Beers, Budweiser, King of Pop, Michael Jackson, whatever, like that, the status and the aspiration around like being best of breed is something that's always mattered to us. And when we had dozens of competitors in fantasy or even in sports betting now, which is hyper competitive, it's always been our focus, market leadership, competing really aggressively, effectively. We want to be the best at everything we do. So
what did you compete in at track when you were at Columbia?
It was really the longer the better. I'm over 200 pounds now, so it's not something anybody ever predicts. When I say I did sports, they assume it was something else, like shot put or something. Yep. But it was actually distance running. Cross country was my best, and then anything long, like 5K on the track in college or in high school, it was 2 mile. We had a team that was around 20 people on the cross-country team. Weekend runs were often really long, like 15-mile runs, or we'd do 2 a day and things like that. And so lots of time to kill when you're running 70, 75 miles. And we talked a lot about fantasy baseball. There was a handful of people on the team that were just really knowledgeable. They knew all the players, all the stats, like a few big Mets fans. And the first time I played fantasy at all was really like fantasy baseball with my track team. And from there, it kind of branched into football and then more and more sports from there.
Very good to know. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. We just wanted to get through some rapid-fire questions to kick it off. Now we wanted to maybe move into more, in-depth questions. You founded DraftKings, about 11 years ago now. I want to ask, from the start, did you expect it to really, grow to the size that it is now and to really be that global company that it is today?
I think where we've gotten at this point is probably a bit beyond what you would have thought, right? Like tens of millions of customers in the U.S. is a lot, and billions of revenue and all of this kind of like product expansion, the quality and the depth of our platform. So I think we thought we could really improve the experience of being a sports fan in the U.S. by a lot. But yeah, huge success. Really happy with how things have gone over the last 11, 12 years.
Great.
That's awesome. Yeah. And now I want to jump into our industry. So DraftKings is really at the intersection of technology, sports, and entertainment. And our innovative gaming products and our focus on our customer experience is really what sets us apart. So how do we continue to scale as a company and keep that focus on the customer?
It's really the idea of the customer drove the development of our perspective of who the customer is drove the development of the daily fantasy product, and then what came next as well. And everything really on our roadmap come from customer insight or come from feedback, research. It's really just that idea of, I'm just going to speculate a little, see if I'm right, see if I think this card's going to go up in value or whatever. You see a lot of people who just really enjoy that, and most of our roadmap's built around different forms that you can provide that kind of entertainment.
I wanted to ask because as a recruiter, obviously I talk to a lot of candidates, and I've noticed over the year and a half that I've been working here, usually the first thing that comes to mind with DraftKings is fantasy or sportsbook. So obviously there's a lot more to DraftKings than just those two products, but there's a lot of work that goes on in the background. I'm curious, what should people know about the work that's going on in the background? What do you want people to know about all of our products?
I think it all starts with the company culture-wise is very technology and product focused. Like we have very high standards in terms of the type of product experience that we build. The plan, the roadmap is always to reach a very high standard, even if we introduce something early, quickly to get feedback that's like a minimum viable type thing. And I think a good example would be, when we launched iGaming in New Jersey, first thing we did was we just launched one game, and it was blackjack. Maximum wager was $100. Very simple game. Just to kind of introduce the concept, try to get a little bit of feedback, test some of the technology that we'd been building, today we have 700 casino games on our platform. It's really easy to basically anything you would find in a Las Vegas casino, and then way more. You'll find it in the DraftKings app. But that idea of launch, learn, and then have a very high bar for where you're driving the product towards, and never really being satisfied with like where you're at is good enough. That's the essence, I think, of how we think about tech and product development. And then on the marketing side, we've always thought of like every product's an opportunity to engage different people. And so we've really focused as well on just being really thoughtful about how to expose potential customers to all of the different breadth of what we have across the platform, because there's different entry points for everyone.
Why do we put such an emphasis on creating such a great workplace culture here?
I think often that gets thought about as more of a value thing only. Like, I want to have a great workplace because for the sake of having a great workplace. What we found is it really just drives the best talent to like want to work at the company. I think the main things DraftKings have going for it at the end of the day are there's a lot of people who really want to work on our products. It's a product that is, at the end of the day, recreational. It's for fun. It's the hobby of a lot of people, like participating in the types of games that we make. Definitely think that's one of the aspects of like moving from a product maybe people are working on and they're really talented, but they're not passionate about the product, coming here and being able to work on something that they really love, you know. And then within the walls, having a really inclusive culture, making sure that DraftKings is a place for everyone, making sure that the type of experience you have like within the walls is it's certainly like equitable in terms of opportunity to advance, compensation, all of those things, but also a lot of the benefits I think that we try to put out there are also like ways that we want to stand out. Here we feel like if you just keep a high bar across the board, everybody kind of feed off each other. It creates a really nice like team-based culture. It's all very collaborative, very team-oriented, and I don't think anything great can really be achieved solo for the most part. Like you need to be able to fit into a system. So that's one of our fundamentals as well.
But cool. So I wanted to look to the future now and sort of ask, you know, what excites you about the future, and sort of from a candidate's perspective, what could you tell them that could excite them to look forward to potentially joining the team?
Combination of two things, really. One is the like given that DraftKings is pretty hardened in terms of, you know, we're public, we're performing well, we have like great revenue growth, great customer growth. We're in a market that is competitive, but also growing very rapidly, not just in terms of more customers adopting in the current states we're in, but also every year more and more states keep opening up. So we launch sports betting or iGaming in more places every year. So there's this nice existing business with our current products tailwind where there's growth there. And I think everyone wants to be a part of a company that's growing. And then the unpredictability is really the other thing, like because our roadmap's built off customer insight, trends in the market. Things are not always totally predictable what will happen in the future, and the agility that we have is pretty important, I think, to be responsive to whatever's changing. At DraftKings, we definitely want to be in that whatever 1 to 10% who are always just thoughtful, thinking about what is the new tech, the new trend, how does that influence or impact what we're doing, and adjust our roadmap, and not fight trends, not fight, you know, new technology, not fight new competitors, new products, like none of that, but be aware, be responsive, try to like fast follow in cases where like maybe something's picking up steam and we feel like we really need to be in that game. Like, you know, that agility, I think, is exciting because you never really know what's next.
Last question, though, for you. Can you tell us about your favorite story working here, whether that was the early days or something recently that really is just your favorite story to tell about working here at DraftKings?
I think we had a war room set up on August 1st of 2018, which was our first bet ever in the sportsbook platform. Yep. But it was actually more than that. It was the first bet ever outside of Nevada in the U.S. on like a digital platform.
Wow.
And we were first to market when New Jersey opened up by about a month, and the preceding, 12 to 18 months were very difficult work. It's not like we had a bunch of sports betting people around the table 18 months prior to that. We went out, we said, hey, it looks like this market might open up, started developing a product, bringing in talent, put a tremendous push against being ready in New Jersey to launch first or close to first. And I remember months before, Paul, who is our president of global product and tech and one of my co-founders, Paul said, we are going to launch on August 1st in New Jersey. It was 6 months before that, and literally hit it to the date. Very hard to do, as everyone knows, like exactly with that level of precision, But we really got through all of these hurdles. The licensing, the product was ready to go. So we were sitting in a war room. First bet came in. It was $5 on the St. Louis Cardinals money line, a baseball game.
Wow.
And just seeing that row in the database, like we were refreshing it, like somebody's going to make the first bet any second now. And yeah, we toasted champagne. It was probably 1 o'clock, a little early to be drinking, but like we pretty much were just celebrating at that point. So it was awesome. It was just such a great milestone for the company. And now that's a product, at the time we didn't know, was DraftKings going to be a leader in this market? Was it going to be European sports betting companies coming into the U.S., casino companies, big media companies? Like we had no idea really how DraftKings would stack up against all these other types of approaches. And as things have turned out, it's really been the fantasy companies. It's been DraftKings and FanDuel have really performed extremely well in sports betting. That was the first moment, though, the starting point of that snowball effect of really like figuring out, oh, we're going to do really well here.
Right.
And now it's our biggest revenue driver. So
it's like a moment that's just ingrained in your memory, and probably the other founders and everyone in that war room, I'm sure.
Can you imagine all the hard work and everything, you finally see it on the screen, finally pays off. It's been exciting. So
thank you so much for joining us, Matt. This was a great conversation. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Yeah, really. Again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Great to get your insight, your perspective and everything. So really appreciate it.
Yeah. I love this podcast too. I think it's a good example of just trying to like really over deliver, hit and exceed the expectations that somebody may have in terms of how transparent we are, how out there we are with the culture and everything. And so, really love what's going on here. And thank you for having me on specifically. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media at DraftKings Life, except for LinkedIn, where we're simply DraftKings. You can also follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Kalish. This podcast is available on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google. We got you. Be sure to download, listen, and even throw us a 5-star rating. Have an awesome day.
Bye.